Yo guys, what is going on? JP is back with another video, and today we're going to be reacting to British NHS doctor, as you can see, is going to react to American medical bills. This is Evan Ettinger. Make sure you guys go subscribe to him. I've reacted to a bunch of videos from him. He's super awesome, and he always brings on reputable and cool guests who make all these videos entertaining and very informative. But yeah, if you guys are new here, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and check out my Patreon. The link is in the description. But yeah, let's get right into it. I already know there's going to be some crazy numbers because
if I am paying
medical bills here are expensive. Like literally an ambulance ride is through the roof. If you don't have health insurance here, I mean, if you get injured, you literally just have to sit it out. You just have to recover by yourself. You cannot go there because you can't go to the hospital and get help because it's too expensive.
that much for a hospital bed. I want someone
keep
like
the bed.
feeding me great.
Exactly.
I haven't done a collab in so long because of COVID.
This
Hello,
camera
and,
is
welcome
fire.
back to a man who won't stop telling you that he sang to the Queen. My name is Evan Ettinger, and this is Ian.
Hello.
Ian, what are you doing?
I'm a junior doctor in the NHS.
Hell yeah. So you are one of our heroes that we clap for and that pays your bills.
I wish it paid my bills.
So today I thought it'd be really interesting if I get Ian on and I just talk to him about some hospital bills that we have in the States for some basic things and find out how much certain things should cost or how complex things are. I feel like you've got quite a lot of experience.
Yeah.
What was your shifts like this week?
I've had 3 long 12-hour days and 2 short days. So
12 hours.
nights as well. So
And you don't have to do nights anymore?
yeah, I don't have to do any more nights.
Nice.
At least for next year.
Hell yeah. So I'm just curious about what the standard checkup entails timing-wise.
Well, generally speaking, if you want like a full body checkup, usually you'd go private for that. It's
Okay.
not something the NHS often offers. Unless
Really?
you're above a certain age. So I think above maybe 60 or 70 is when they would do a checkup sort of as standard. But generally speaking, yeah, if you want just sort of a checkup for your own kind of
well-being.
peace of mind or whatever,
Mhm.
then you'd usually go private for that, and that would cost you in the range of about 100 quid.
Wow, that's actually the same as the US then, which is
Yeah.
on average about 75 to 150 depending on.
Yeah.
What I went for a checkup for my GP like 4 years ago, and they were very strange about it. So I guess that's probably why. What would the costs be for having a baby?
Well,
Oh.
again, like everything's free. But what it costs the hospital, let's say you go to the hospital, you squeeze it out in half an hour, and there's no complications,
Mhm.
everything goes smoothly, the hospital's gonna spend about 1.5 grand maybe for that.
That's it?
Yeah.
But what about C-section?
So
Cesarean.
if it gets complicated, you're looking at maybe doubling that. And if it's a C-section, you're maybe looking at maybe sort of 3.5 to 5 grand for that sort of more complicated delivery.
Wow.
But that's like what basically the way the NHS works is they get paid for things that they fix or things that they treat. So they have to try and budget a way to do that so that it comes up to a roughly amount that they get compensated for.
I
Is
see.
this why they don't fix things that aren't broken?
Yeah, and it's why there's certain things that aren't sort of budgeted to fix, or like certain conditions that aren't sort of treated under the NHS.
Are there any sort of hidden fees though at all? Prescriptions in England, I know supposedly.
So prescriptions, yeah, they cost about 9 quid. Although depending on what medicine you get, that can either be a really good deal or kind of shitty.
Oh,
so
paracetamol.
Yeah, so paracetamol is a classic example. No one wins. NHS pays more money than it gets from that prescription, and you also pay more money than what you would get paid for.
It's just an L.
Just in a Sainsbury's or whatever.
Yeah. So never get paracetamol prescribed unless you're like can't walk.
Is ultrasound very complex? Like, is that?
No, ultrasound's basically your cheapest investigation that you can do as a scan. Ultrasound's super cheap. It costs about 20 to 50 quid to do an ultrasound scan.
That's pretty fair.
So X-rays are again about 20 to 50 quid.
That's kinda
CTs are
cheap
about
for
100,
X-ray.
MRI is about 150.
These all sound really manageable.
But
Yeah.
you also have to pay to get it like reported, and you've got to like slot it in. And like for example, if you do a scan overnight, then it costs a bit more because you have to outsource the reporting as well. And reporting a scan costs about £100 to do overnight.
I mean, this is making sense. Obviously, it's all free.
Yeah.
But the fact that it costs those amounts, I'm like, even if I had to pay that, I wouldn't be as upset, I suppose. What I've got here is a specific bill on birth. Ultrasound is $897.
So like in hospital, ultrasound scan is like the scan, or in GP land as well. It's like the scan you try and do first because it's like the quickest, the cheapest, and the easiest. So
I mean,
Not for us.
that isn't the cheapest. Cheapest is audiology. That's $215. I don't know what that means though.
Well, that's just like an ear test, I guess. Yeah.
Testing the pregnant woman, see if she's still hearing
Maybe when they're listening to the baby through the.
through the stuff.
Yeah.
Probably.
They do that. Like when they listen to the baby's heartbeat to make sure that it's not like in distress. But that's just like. Yeah, that's not.
That's $200 though.
Yeah, you don't pay for that.
How is that $200? That's so easy.
While you're there.
In the U.S., the recovery room when you're having a baby is it's not really a closed-off room that you get. It's basically like when you're in the NHS and you get put in that like curtain triage. How much do you think that costs?
That should not be that
Knowing
expensive.
America, probably like $2,000 a night or something.
2.9.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
You could just get your own hotel room for that much money.
but that's just the recovery room as well. You have to remember that there's also the labor room, which is $5,000. So just those two.
You better have a
rooms.
quick pregnancy
Also,
or
we're
a
not
quick
even talking about
birth.
surgery, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a
So,
C-section.
I mean, in the NHS, like you can actually choose to have like a water birth or like a home birth.
you can choose to.
Yeah, you can
pretty
choose,
lit.
and obviously you got to plan for it. And if you're sort of deemed more high risk, they might not let you do it.
Is it cheaper to do?
If
Oh,
there's
it's
a
free
risk
here.
to have it complicated. Yeah, I do know like for some postnatal care, like after you've given birth, if you're not like a full UK citizen, then you're not like that's not covered by the NHS. You have to pay half of that.
Whoa.
So if you're like an immigrant,
What if I was an indefinite leave to remain resident though?
I'm not sure about that, but I know like people who are like on here on asylum, etc. Like if they're giving birth is free, but then the postnatal care they have to pay for half of that. But again, it's not that much. It's like maybe they pay around max for like everything.
By postnatal care, are you referring to the skin-on-skin contact?
No, that's
Which costs $40 just to
peak
touch the baby.
capitalism right here.
I just love that they could have just maybe included that silently in the bill,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they go like, no, you must pay to touch your baby.
Yeah, it's like the Ryanair of healthcare, isn't it?
The Ryanair
Bro.
health, the entire cost, by the way, for this one was $41,000 for having a baby. So it's like, how do the poor have
I
babies?
mean, that's more than it costs to raise a baby.
Yeah. No.
Well,
No.
maybe about the same.
No.
Depends how
My baby
how
gets
needy
Gucci.
your baby is.
Yeah. How much would anesthesia cost? Because in my opinion, that would be really expensive because it knocks someone out. You got to do it right.
So I guess most women, like I guess if they're giving the birth live, they might have something called an epidural, which is where they put a needle in your spine and sort of block all the pain from down below. That's a bit of a pain to do. I don't have an
So it's a
exact
bit
figure.
complex.
It's a bit. It's tricky to get the needle in the right place. So usually.
Ooh, that
women
sounds
just do
painful.
that. So
Which is
I guess
extra.
You'd pay the wage of the anaesthetist for that maybe half hour it takes them to do it. And then you'd pay for the materials to do it and the drugs to do it. But I guess it wouldn't cost more than about £200, I guess.
Oh yeah. It's like $400 for the
Yeah.
anesthetist, but also drugs is 8.7 grand on this, so the drugs are separate. Just for the drugs. Here's the story. A patient comes in. He was
Bro.
chopping some vegetables, chopping a bit more than vegetables. Luckily, not harming his.
Not too much.
Yeah, like he didn't chop it too much. He didn't go down to the tendon. It was a bit above that, but he still had to go to the ER. So skin grafts, stitches for that. How
Do you need a
complex
skin graft for just a cut?
was on the bill?
Okay, well, I mean, he must have chopped it pretty bad if he needed skin graft. Like, when he's like, ooh,
Yeah,
just peeled it automatically. Trip to
Oh,
the ER.
chill.
You're looking at around 200 for the ambulance, and around between 50 and 400 quid for the A&E part. of
200 for the
treatment.
ambulance is pretty sexy.
And then
Wait, how much was A&E?
like between 50 to 400 pounds. Average is about 100 quid for an A&E.
What if it was at like nighttime? That's just going up a little bit.
Tiny bit more, but like it's about the same.
Alright.
And then I guess for the stitches, well, depends how bad the wound is. If it's just like something that someone in A&E can do, we might just do it in A&E ourselves. So
Really? That's
yeah,
useful.
in that case, like your time plus the cost of the stitch would be like £5-10. So
Oh, your
not-
time's worth £5?
No, the cost of the stitch. I mean.
Oh,
like, yeah.
okay.
Well, I get paid like £12 an hour, like, and then a little bit of bonus for nights. So
Do you get
yeah.
free lunch?
maybe like once a month I'll get like a few like bits of sandwiches on a platter, but I get there
Oh.
late and it's just like the shit ones that I left. It's not
Damn.
the
You
nice
get just
ones.
ham
Yeah,
or egg and cress.
yeah. No. Those,
Yo. I have a story about the ER. So basically, one time we were skipping rocks in the creek, right? My brothers and I, and my brother, he basically turned around. Like, we were younger. He turned around when he was skipping it. Like, he rotated his body, and then the rock hit me right here. And I had a little deep cut right above my eyebrow, right? So I had to go to the emergency room for that. And this was like in the evening. We waited a bit, and like, because I had to tell my parents, and they were like, oh, it's kind of deep. It might be like 1/4 of an inch deep, so we're going to go into the emergency room. So we go to the ER, right? And there are a ton of people sitting there, but none of them are like morbidly hurt or anything. Like, they're all just sitting there. They might be sick or something, and that's because they can't afford to go to the hospital. They have to go to the ER. I think it's cheaper or something, or I don't know. There's less cost associated with it, but that is how bad the hospital fees are. There's people who literally they have a cold or something and they're at the ER. I'm telling you, it's.
Those are gone.
Oh, I don't even like egg and
They'll
crust.
get like one of those small apples that no one likes. You know, the ones that like are bitty.
Oh, the
Yeah,
brownie ones.
Yeah.
So the doctor worked on this guy in the story for 45 minutes, and the whole bill came out to £5.9 thousand for a little cut on his finger. What's interesting was they had on the bill here tendon repair, so they had to
Oh.
repair his tendon, even though
For 45 minutes.
there wasn't any tendon error.
Yeah, I mean they definitely didn't repair his tendon in
No.
45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's 5.9 grand for the doctor's fees. It was $14,000 in
Jesus
total.
Christ. Yeah, so like
For a finger cut.
if you got it really badly cut, if you really
Yeah.
hurt the tendon and you had to go to theatre,
Oh.
max you'd be maybe looking at £1,000, maybe £2,000 if it was really complicated. But
Do people watch you in the theater? Like, are there like junior doctors like looking over like?
yeah,
Junior
so I
man.
mean usually there's like the chief operator, and then he'll have like a junior to help him. And then there'll be like the operating nurse who like gives you all the tools, and there'll be like a couple
Scalpel.
of nurses, who are like doing all stuff in the background, and there'll be an anaesthetist in the corner as well. So yeah, there's usually a fairly decent crowd there.
Do you ever get tired of the smell of the hospital? Like how sanitized it is?
No, not really. I get tired of the smell when it's not sanitized well enough.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You're like, this is my house.
Elderly care wards or extra wards, definitely.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you say there's a lot of people that go into A&E that probably shouldn't be going there for things like alcohol?
Like I said,
So, I mean, alcohol
United
is horrendously
States.
expensive for health in general. Like, I
Really?
mean, you can, if you think of it in the long term, like it messes you up so bad. So in the long run, it costs the NHS tons of money. But if you're just talking about like the acute episode, let's say some like drunk hooligan comes in to A&E, I'm sure there'll be a lot of that tonight.
It's coming home.
So like I said before, attendance usually costs about
It didn't,
£400.
sadly.
Okay.
So if they just need to sober up in a bed somewhere and then go home like a few hours later after getting a drip, that would be
So
how much it
the
costs.
drip, how much would the drip cost?
£5.
A $5. I don't know why, but I assume that if there's a bag
What?
of liquids going into my body, that's going to cost a lot of
Just
money.
like a bag of salt water, like.
So you're saying a bag of saline costs $5?
I mean, I'm guessing, but yeah, it's
No, 2
definitely-
liters of saline costs $700.
But I swear, like there are services that you can pay for now, where like you can get hangover cure, where they like come to
Yes.
your house and set up a drip.
So that's what's interesting is that if you do it at the hospital and it's late night, $700. You can go to Walmart and pick up a bag of saline for I think $16.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, there we
But
go.
you know, it's time and a place. It's like if you get the Uber Eats delivery, it's far away, a little bit more money. So you go to the hospital.
Just a
you
little
really need
bit?
This help. Where are you gonna go? Walmart? I don't think
But
so.
if they really drink too much and
Yeah.
they like need to stay in hospital, then like obviously a hospital
Ooh.
bed where you stay in overnight costs a bit more. So that could easily end up reaching like about 500 to £1,000.
How much do you think it cost for that one day? He came in at I think 8 p.m. and he had to. I don't think he stayed overnight, but it was definitely like 5-6 hours. What would the facility fee be to like use the facility?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, if you go to A&E, get treated there, and get discharged, I've told you how much that costs.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
the sound of that, he's in there for longer than 4 hours, so he'd get moved over to like the acute medical unit beyond that. But just for like overnight until the next morning, like hospital beds between like £200 and £400 per night. So,
$7,600. But then again, the
What's
excuse is, well, this is a late night.
if I am paying that much for a hospital bed, I want
wanna
someone
keep
like,
the
feeding
bed.
me grapes like this, like while I'm recovering. You know, I want massages. I want aromatherapy.
Oh, also what was interesting was that it also included a drug test, which he did not consent to, but was on the bill for $970.
And was that just like a basic standard
What?
urine drug test?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
those
so.
are like 20 quid. Like,
I think the guy had said he came into the place saying, I'm not on any drugs except alcohol. I'm just very, very drunk and I need to like hydrate. And they went, let's test him anyway.
you could just drink some water.
Yeah, I think that he was far gone or something, and he had a wedding the next day.
Oh, God.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it was the bachelor
God.
party. It turns out, though, his hospital bill cost more than the entire wedding, which ends up being $12,460.
Absolutely insane. That's like more expensive than like they probably spent in the movie Hangover. Like,
Oh my God. Yeah, just for that bachelor party going to like Thailand or whatever.
you could. Yeah, that's insane.
I
You
would
could
go to
literally
Thailand.
get treated there, and come back for cheaper.
If you could survive that far. But to be
Oh,
fair,
that's
he
true.
did get insurance, and so it brought the price down to $2,600. Pretty nice. Heart attack.
It's still high
Obviously,
though.
cardiac arrest. I'm hoping I don't have any of those, but hey. Basically, the story is I have a medical bill from a U.S. high school teacher, aged 44, suffered cardiac arrest and had to spend 4 days in the hospital and get 2 Synergy stents.
Okay.
Do you know what a Synergy stent is?
Exact brand, but
Oh.
yeah, he got some cardiac stents. Okay.
How much do you think the 2 stents would have cost?
So,
Heart stuff.
cardiac arrests are a little bit more expensive. I guess the price gets driven up as well because not everyone makes it, and the people who don't make it, they increase the price for the people who do make it, if you know what I mean.
Capitalism.
And I guess most
Yeah.
of the cost for sort of cardiac arrests related admission comes from like your time in intensive care.
Yeah.
So intensive care is a lot more expensive than a normal hospital bed. It costs about $2 grand per night to keep someone in hospital intensive care.
That's good.
But that's because you've got like one-on-one staffing. You've got all the special equipment hooked up. Like it's a lot more
Intensive.
Yeah. If you had a normal heart attack and it wasn't that bad, and you just like, just got treated or whatever, maybe it cost like $1.5 grand, $2 grand. If you ended up in intensive care needing cardiac stents and stuff, that could be anywhere from like $4 grand to $10 grand.
Ooh,
So that
that's-
actually makes sense now. Oh, just for the nights in there.
Well, like no, for everything, like the heart surgery, the intensive care stay, the treatments, like whatever.
Well, his stents cost 19,000 each, and he had 2 of them.
Oh my god, they charge you per stent?
Yeah, each stent was 19 grand. But luckily he had really good insurance. So after the heart attack, he only had to pay $109,000.
I think I'd have another heart attack in that middle.
Bro,
Yeah,
I keep telling you guys this. If you are uninsured in the United States, I said it at the start, how on earth are you supposed to pay that? Especially, and the thing is, the people who don't have insurance, 9 times out of 10, those are the people who don't have as much money. So it's just like, you're so screwed. Oh, I feel so bad. Like, there are people who they'll get hurt and they'll say, don't call an ambulance. Oh my gosh.
I think I'd have another heart attack.
Facts.
Yeah, they would get a heart attack after having the heart attack, especially like he's a teacher, so he had good benefits, but there's only so much you can really do there. So this one's personal to me because, as you know, you helped me out last time I had to go to the hospital
I
here.
remember that.
Made a video. I thought I had appendicitis.
Should we react to
I think
that?
it was gastro.
Yeah, I think you probably just had a bit of wind or something.
That's right. The amount of comments like, this yank thinks he's got acid.
He just needed a fart.
Yeah. I did need a fart. There was a lot of bad farts. I think it was just really intense gastro, but I was told by 2 different nurses 2 different things, so obviously I'm a bit confused. What would it cost to get the appendicitis removed? What is it called?
Okay,
Appendicitis?
Yeah. So appendicitis is one of the quickest and cheapest surgeries you can do.
Oh, is that the thing with the pinhole?
So yeah, you try and do it laparoscopically, which is sort of pinhole surgery. That's actually a bit more expensive than doing it open.
Oh.
Because you've got to use all the equipment, and it takes a tiny bit longer. But obviously, it's less complications, better for the patient, and it's actually a little bit easier for the doctor as well. Because when it's open, all the guts are kind of going around everywhere, and it's a bit difficult.
I really hope they're not going around everywhere.
Yeah. The operation itself will take about half an hour to 40 minutes usually. Can be take an hour or a bit longer if it's a bit complicated. The equipment, like all the laparoscopes and like stitches and stuff,
Of course.
that would be about £200-300. The time in the theatre, let's say half an hour to an hour, he'd be spending about 500 to £1,000 on like paying all the staff, the room, and that's like not just like the doctor, that's like the surgeon, the anaesthetist,
This sounds fair.
the assistant surgeon, the nurse, etc. That's everything. So in total, maybe £1,000, £1,500 max. But it could be a lot
It's not
less.
that bad.
I feel like if the US didn't have healthcare like the NHS did, but yet was that price, I feel like people wouldn't be as uproared about it. I mean, obviously, £1,000 is a lot of money, but also compared to like $44,000 for an appendicitis removal.
Well, I think people should understand like what they're asking for costs, because a lot of the time,
itemized receipt.
a lot of the time people go to the like hospitals sort of inappropriately, like they don't know actually how much they're costing, like because that money ends up going back through the system and they end up paying for it in their taxes, so it's not direct, but they are kind of responsible for it. And I feel like people in UK, just because everything's free, they're like,
oh, just go. Yeah. I
Facts.
guess because it's such a macro level that they're affecting it so tiny that they're like,
yeah.
Because of my
But if
upbringing and it costs
If everyone thinks like that, then you know what I mean. That's true.
that they're affecting it so tiny that they're like,
Yeah.
because of my upbringing and it costs $1,500 for an ambulance. If ever I'm ill, even here, I'm too scared to go to the hospital.
But that's a problem in itself as well, because then.
Oh, yeah, then
we saw a lot during COVID. People were reluctant to go to hospital or their GP for certain things, and now we're getting lots of late presentations of cancers that were missed and stuff like that. And like really advanced and like spread everywhere. It's quite horrible, really. So I think people should go to the doctor, but they should just do it like the appropriate way, like rather than just going straight to A&E.
111.
Yeah, or go to a GP, or call 111 or whatever.
As opposed to just going straight to the hospital.
Rock up to A&E, sit in a chair for 4 hours because no one really wants to see you because you're sitting there with like a Grey's Anatomy.
Or gastro.
Or
I felt like that's a pain that I'd never experienced before, and I was like, I'd rather be safe.
Yeah, it's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it?
And that was my only time I've ever used the NHS's funds.
But that makes you wonder, actually, thinking about it. In America, I wonder how much that stuff happens. How often do people not go to the doctor?
A lot.
I wonder,
said it.
Actually,
It's
it kind
happened
of makes me
so
want to see like what the rates of like advanced cancer diagnosis are and whether they're different between the two countries.
Because of that.
Yeah,
I had
people
travel
have-
insurance when I got into a cactus incident in the Grand Canyon. And I was excited because I thought I'd be able to use the insurance, but the health insurance only works at certain practices. So like when I went to the one that was closest, they told me we don't accept it. $450 bill just to remove some spines from me. And it was either that or I drive 40 miles away. So
I remember I actually had really bad gastroenteritis in Japan, and I ended up in a Japanese ambulance, going to a Japanese hospital, and they just CT scan everyone in Japan. So like they didn't need to CT scan me, they just did it.
That's nice.
They do charge for it. But even though I was a tourist, I paid like I think £100 or £200 for everything, and that was like the drip, the treatment, the scan, the ambulance.
that just seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Why can't we be like the
I'm
rest
very
of the
thankful to
world?
live here. I like to end these with like, maybe this can happen in the future, but
Well, maybe the doctors can get paid a decent wage in the future.
yes. Oh, you're like, we should bring it up.
Healthcare is expensive.
Yeah.
And we really haven't put much extra money into it, despite the fact that our population's getting older, getting bigger, and that new treatments are coming out that are sort of becoming more and more expensive. So if you invest in health, you get paid back because people can work longer, they can contribute to the economy more.
That's
It's
facts.
a no-brainer, really. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Thanks for coming on the show.
That's okay.
The show now.
The bedroom.
Thanks for joining me in my bedroom. Anything you want to shout out? Anywhere you want people to go? Don't go to the hospital.
No, it's fine. We'll happily see
Chill,
you.
chill.
I'm not going to shout out anything. I'll shout out to my sister. Yeah.
All right, go subscribe to Dodo.
This guy was cool,
We
man.
probably are already.
All right. That's a weird place to pause.
Thanks for coming on.
There we go. All right. Dang, that was actually super like interesting to watch. I reacted to a couple things regarding like the NHS and American bills before, but this was way more in depth and like it included a lot more stuff than the other video I watched. So yeah, shout out to, I think his name was Ian. It just had it here. I don't know. I think that guy's name is Ian, but shout out to him. He was cool. Shout out to Evan. Like I said, guys, make sure you check out his channel. He just drops bangers and the video quality is getting better. Like he got a new camera. It looks nice. But yeah, it's crazy. I was saying it throughout the video. People will avoid going to the hospital. I said it before they said it because I've seen it happen. It's crazy, guys. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Comment your opinions down below, and I actually want someone to tell me what you think the United States should do. Like, what should we do? I don't know. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. I don't know what the resolution will be, but we'll see. Time will tell, I guess. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We're almost at 18K while I'm saying this right now, so help out. You want to subscribe, I would appreciate that a lot. Everyone smash the like button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.